Hello, welcome to badatpad, where Natcom tries to beat endgame content. Today we are here to talk about the Monster Exchange survey results and what you should spend your dark slash rainbow event medals on. So I've been waiting to post this video or make this video until it was confirmed the amount of medals that it costs to trade for the monster, which we know is Cotton. By the way, Cotton won the voting. And let's hop over to Pad actually and see what exactly you trade for her. So Cotton takes 4 GFE or black event medals. Black event medals you obtain by trading 5 rainbow event medals. So overall she costs 20 rainbow event medals or equivalent. Another quick aside, don't trade for Dark Raw Dragon. He's the only other use for black event medals, and he's trash. He's like Yusuke, but hard to team build for and a lower multiplier. So really, you should not, do not get him. Please don't get him. He's valued apparently by Gung Ho less than a 6-star GFE because he takes 3 event medals, black medals, and Cotton takes 4. My brief thoughts on my thoughts on the fact that Cotton was voted in. I think a lot of the endgamey players who have a lot of rainbow event medals are kind of sad that she got voted in, probably because a lot of them own multiple Cottons. I think a lot of us were hoping that a 7-star GFE would make it in, particularly something like Zeus Giga or Saline or Valkyrie Seal or even Zella, because they're harder to obtain and more useful for endgamey stuff. I guess. Well, there's like some niche needs for them, but most of us, I think, a lot of the people who have that many medals have already enough Cottons for themselves. So I think we were hoping that would happen, similar to Japan, but we got Cotton. I think North America probably got Cotton because the last voting we had, Cotton was a really good pick. I myself voted for Cotton at that time versus something like Fujin or I don't know what else there was. And I think maybe people weren't super sure which vote for this time. I myself did not make a video on who I think you guys should vote for because I wasn't sure I could cover all the options for the people at various stages in their pad playing. I voted for Yogg because I don't own in Yogg. I didn't really think he would win. I thought maybe one of the 7 stars would win, or D-Meta maybe. But apparently Cotton won by an overwhelming amount of votes, is what Gung Ho said. So yeah, I think endgame people are a little sad about Cotton being voted, and probably are not going to trade for her. But let's get into the part about should you trade for Cotton. One thing I want to mention is that the competing uses for rainbow event medals for Cotton. She basically takes 20 rainbow event medals. Things you could buy for less event medals. One is Odysseus. Many of you may already have 1 or 2. I have 1. He is an inheritable awoken bind clear and is useful for things like rankings, and he has a board change too. It's nice. I think the other main use case for rainbow event medals is in the Gung Ho collab, where they let you trade for SO135 Alistair, and there's something else you could trade, but I don't think it's worth. I think it's Hanukkah Shindo. She's like a super finger assist. Don't trade for her. But I think a lot of the a more luxury purchase is getting 5 SO135 Alistair. So I'm gonna call her Aresta because that's how I know her by her Japanese name, or I don't know that name. She's used as a button lead and sub. You want to use like 5 of her, or mix and match her with Nergigante hunters. So, and there's a number of dungeons in multiplayer where you can just press the button and they'll die. Like all the floors will just die from her button damage, which is based on the team's wood attack or something like that. So I'd show you her, but she's not in here right now. I don't want to go find her. You can look her up. Her name is SO135 Alistair or 315. I don't know. Just look up Alistair Pad. So she's the main. Her and Odysseus are the main uses for rainbow event medals right now. So let me try to cover all the categories of people who might be wanting to trade for Cotton. The main method to obtain rainbow event medals right now are through dungeons, monthly quest dungeons, and ranking dungeons. Ranking dungeons happen on average once every 2 to 3 weeks. Monthly quest dungeons happen once a month. I currently myself have 57 Rainbow Event medals unspent. I've missed maybe 2 or 3 through the course of the duration of Rainbow Event medals existing. It's hard to obtain them. It's a little hard to obtain them for new players because you can do the monthly quest ones and that's the easiest way to, but you have to like clear all the hard challenge ones in those. And I think the harder part of obtaining them is scoring well in ranking dungeons. Rainbow Event medals are a technically free resource, but they are not unlimited. You can only get they're a limited resource because you can only get a few of them. You only get like 1 or 2 for each set of things. Like for beating one set of monthly quests, you'll get like 2 of them. You can't like get more from like beating like the same monthly quest over and over again. So they are a limited resource even though they are free. I believe there is a shop bundle right now where you can actually, it's this one, the $85 one. You can actually get 7 from there. So there's sometimes you can IP. That was close. Anyways, that's how you obtain Rainbow Event medals. The short answer overall, so if you should get a con or not, I think you should probably only get one like if you can, number one, as a base use case, try to only buy it if you can just spend event medals on her. Like, don't trade other GFEs for her. And if you roll Super Godfist, there's a pretty good chance you will roll one, and then you don't want to be spending your other stuff you could trade for your GFE you could spend on other things for cotton. So try your utmost best to only spend event medals on her. I guess you could include one GFE if you want to. And I think if it's now speaking for people who, if it's a only Rainbow Event medal trade, if you have 0 cons, I think it's a perfectly fine trade. Again, keeping in mind that if you have around 20 Rainbow Event medals and you spend basically nearly all of them on this, that something could be released in the future, that something could always be released in the future that is like good for your usage of Rainbow Event medals. Currently, there is nothing in Japan that new that there's nothing that they have that we don't have that you could spend Rainbow Event medals on. That is like worth it. So we have basically a 2-month look ahead compared to Japan, and there's nothing like in that look ahead period that we other things we could spend medals on that are more worth than Cotton or Odysseus or Alistair's. So if you have 0, I'd say go for it. It's even 0 or 1. If you have 2 or more, I would say you really have to think about what's in your monster box and what teams it would benefit specifically. I think anyone who has 0 or 1 con could benefit from then having 1 or 2 cottons. Anything more, like any box should be able to benefit from the inclusion of that number of cottons. More than that, it's a little hard to say. I guess I can go over the different cotton use cases right now that I can think of for current meta leaders. Just so you can, if you have 2 cottons and you have a bunch of event medals, maybe think about what you could do with them. Yeah. So first one would be Red Cotton, I think. Red Cotton is like almost an essential sub for Shiro teams. She is the best FUA option outside of Tosaka Rin, but she's kind of irreplaceable. Like, this team is almost an ideal Shiro team. Like, if it needs 2 Red Cons to be like a perfect Shiro team, I think. But Baldin is just for VDP. I usually end up running Cthulhu in this slot if it's multiplayer, and I just leave Baldin in here otherwise. Red Cotton is great because there aren't that many red light double 7C options. I think Hathor is one of them, but like that's kind of a sad option if I'm being honest. So she's one of the essential Emiya Shiro subs. But besides that, let me pull up a list of meta leaders right now. Besides that, there is not really a good use for her. I guess Khan is used on Tosaka Rin teams as well, but I don't know. Not too many people run her in North America for sure. So if you have a Shiro and don't have any cottons, you probably should make a red one, because she's super useful for him. But for other teams, I don't think there's really any other meta red leaders. In fact, I think the only other one is like Tosaka Rin. I'm looking at like the aggregate tier list from Baka Data right now. So that's red cotton. For blue cotton, I think she finds a lot of competition with Amatsu. Amatsu is basically, I think, a blue cotton, but with more stats. Blue cotton's advantage is she has a shorter cooldown, but they share a lot of the similar, like all the essential awakenings, 2 double 7Cs, FUA, and a recover bind, a heart row recover bind, and she's a shorter active skill is her benefit, but he has, I think, almost double her HP. I think she could end up with more attack, maybe. I'm actually not sure what her max stats are, but if you have Amatsu, he's pretty stiff competition, and you really don't need a blue con for that. But teams you could use blue con. You can use it on Barbara Julie as your follow-up attacker if you don't have Sheet or Amatsu or something. An issue with that is blue cotton removes red's interactive skill. If you care about that, then don't use her there. And if you have Amatsu, just use Amatsu. Dark Zeta would be a fine place in the near future. The Gung-Ho collab Zeta monster Zeta would be a fine place for blue cotton versus Amatsu, because blue cotton does not remove darks and Amatsu does. And she would be a great option for his team. I think he does actually need a follow-up attack for that team. Yeah, you could use blue con there for sure. He's basically like a Yusuke style leader, where you need to match blue and we need to match water and dark, and he gives a boost for water attributes HP. So, oh, he also needs you to be less than 80% HP. So you can use blue con for that. I guess you can also use her on a Sheet team. Anything you could think to use Amatsu on, you could use her for. You could use her on Sheet, but I don't think she's ultra necessary for that team if you run Mega Sheet. Where is my Sheet team? I don't even have an Amatsu on mine. If I had Amatsu, I'd replace it. I would replace Sharon with Amatsu if I were to put it onto this team. But it's fine for Mega Sheet. Mega Sheet has an FUA already though, so it's like less necessary, and you could go more TPA based on her rather than 7C. So I think her best current use would be on Dark Zeta or Barbara Julie teams. That's their follow-up attack with damage. Green Cotton is not even on here in my box, like in my set of teams that I use right now, because Green Cotton, let me show you her. I don't think Green Cotton has a great place right now in North America. The last time I used her seriously, like for an endgamey, like regular content type team, was for Green Sonya. She was the premier follow-up attack for Green Sonya because that team needs dragons and wood and likes double sevens and needs a follow-up attack, and I think Green Con is basically the only thing that filled all of those wants and needs well. I guess you can use her. I use her on my Kaide team as a follow-up attack for farming needs. Rushana though works just as well, so you could have been using Rushana for that all along. Green Con overall doesn't have a great place. Wood leaders in North America are not. There really aren't any. Japan got Komasan and Black RX, or whatever they're called. Those two high meta wood leads, but we don't have them. For Shaman King, if we get Shaman King, you could use her, I guess, on a Yo Asakura team as your wood follow-up attack. But I think one issue is that I think Darksworn on stream pointed out to me is that she faces stiff competition from. Can I even find it? Why am I in here? Let's see if I have her on a team. Green Con faces stiff competition as a wood follow-up attack from Zella, the 7-star GFE. You probably all know who's. I don't know why I had to say that, but this Zella, because she has more 7Cs, a bi-color board change that includes hearts and follow-up attack. This Zella for a lot of wood teams is better, or a lot of teams that we have right now is better, only because I don't know what I'm saying. The only reason why you would use Cotton over Zella is because if you're using a wood leader that requires more than a wood color to activate, for instance, if there's a leader that needs like wood and light orbs or something, or wood and dark orbs, like Green Sonya does, or Vraska, who needs wood or dark, or Kamisumi needs wood or dark. Zella's board change will override that. But for all other use cases, Zella is a better sub than Green Con. So Green Con is probably in the worst place con-wise. Light Con has a decent amount of uses. I wouldn't say they're ultra top tier right now. They're still in. They are still top tier. One of them is for Valkyrie Seal, as a healer monster that is also light attribute. She's the best FUA for a Seal team, a Valkyrie Seal team. I think the ideal team. Well, actually, the ideal team would be replace this Fujin with a second light ideal, but you could also do 2 light cons, and that's also perfectly fine. She's also super useful on Yusuke teams as a follow-up attack if you don't have... but Blue Con and slash Amatsu works fine on Yusuke team as well. I think, though, I would prefer a light con, and if it was to pick between those two, I'd pick light con for Yusuke, because it's easier to heal to full. Because she has high recovery, especially if you don't have an ideal who is a pretty good recovery stick. Sometimes Yusuke teams struggle with recovery, especially if you're running mostly water subs, because they're they have high HP and less recovery usually. But those 2 places are the main places for Light Con. I think neither of them are ultra top tier leads right now, but they are still definitely suitable for endgame content, usable, suitable, etc. And I think that's a blanket statement. All the cons can be used across like teams that only require combos. They all are great combo subs because they have double 7Cs. But I'm not gonna. I don't think it's really exactly fair to talk about just generic leads that use combos. I guess Ed light is good for Ed, but like you could use a lot of the other colors for Ed. I don't know. And lastly is dark. I don't have a dark cotton, but the last con is dark cotton. There are a number of dark leaders that we have in NA that you could use her on. Probably the main contender being Fatalis. She's a fine Fatalis sub. There's nothing wrong with her for that, but I don't think she's ultra necessary for her. I think in my personal box, she faces competition from Joker, which is why I have most of the reason why I have not made her. For my uses, they do most of the same thing. Follow-up attack double 7C, unbindable. The difference, I guess, is that she has the unbindable row assist, which I do miss sometimes a little bit. But for all intents and purposes, Joker / Ren Amamiya works for me just as well as she does. And he also has the advantage of being an full awoken bind clear lead, which is, or not lead, sub, active skill, which is nice. Active skill, beep. Full awoken bind clear. And he covers red, which I actually use him a lot for red coverage on rainbow teams. Dark Con does not do that. Teams you could use Dark Con on Fatalis is fine. She's just like ends up being a follow-up attack / a double damage sub for that team, which is fine. You can use her on there. You could use her on an Akuma team. Akuma doesn't need a follow-up attack for his team. You could also use Akuma on a Fatalis team instead of Dark Cotton, by the way. They kind of do the same thing too, except he also has the Fujin part, so he's technically more utility than she does. I think the Fujin part wins out over this little Recover Bind Awakening, so you could use Akuma instead of Cotton on a Fatalis team. You also can, but yeah, you could use her double 7C for Akuma. It's great, it's fine. If you run Hiei, you could run her on a Hiei team. Like, you can use her wherever you would, like, on any dark-based team. Rocher, if you use Rocher, or Rocher, not Rocher. It's Rocher, right? Was it Rocher or Rocher? I actually don't know. I'm not sure. You could use her on your Rocher X Diablos team if you want to. That's fine as well. You could use her on... I guess you could use her on Darksaber, but Darksaber, she's like a rainbow type team. And Darkon not having a sub attribute of a different color is a little rip to put to, I don't know. You probably want to use your slots for something else. to cut just so you can cover all your colors. But I guess I'd say Akuma Fatalis and Rocher are the uses for Dark Cotton. But I feel like she's not ultra essential on those teams. I don't own a lot of those leaders, so I guess I can't say. But this is what I would use on a Rocher team at least. Where's my Diablos? This is what I would use on my Rocher team. I guess you could swap Hiei out with Dark Cotton if you wanted to, but I don't know. None of those, I don't know. Fatality they can do without, and Akuma like could also do without. I'm sure you can find other things, but I don't use them, so I'm not as well versed in them as well. Not as well versed in them. Anyways, oh, it's getting late. I have to should get going. So overall, if you have maybe one or more cottons, I would think about what teams specifically she would benefit for you. If she would boost your gameplay up. There are a lot of leaders who do not. There are some leaders, there's one in particular, Dark Metatron, who is still, in my eyes, probably like a gold standard like leader that we're still trying, like the gold standard of a leader that we need to power creep. Like, that needs to be better than, like, I don't know, the next big leader has to be better than her to be, like, I don't know, she's, like, the #1 for me still. D-Meta does not use Cotton, so if you own a D-Meta and have a good team for her, in terms of, like, beating endgame content, like, D-Meta is probably, if you have good D-Meta team, you probably don't need a Cotton to advance your gameplay any more than you already do. If you don't have D-Meta, if you have one of these other teams and have 0 Cottons, then yeah, sure, like you can trade for her. But again, I think with making any trade in general, it's really important to think about how it would increase like your content that you can beat. For like, you know, for any trade, I would recommend either being a leader that power creeps the strongest leaders that you have, or it's better than any leader you have already, / any leader in the current meta. For subs, I prefer if it's a sub that will work, that will increase the, like, make at least 2 of your teams better. And I guess Con fulfills that because you can pick whatever color you want to, so you can fit on a bunch of teams. But then you don't want to like be, I guess in a counter to that, you don't want to be like making and devolving Con flux. It's kind of expensive. But those are the use cases for all the Cottons, and I guess my opinion on all these trades for them, there isn't like a super short answer, except vaguely saying if you have 0 Cottons or maybe 1 Cotton, then yeah, trade for her. Just keep in mind that Rainbow Event Medals are a limited resource. And yeah, if you have 2 or more, I'd say maybe, probably not. Another great use for her again is for Alistairs, or just save them for the future. I do also know a lot of you guys want to trade for her because Rainbow Event Medals they don't stack, so they take up a lot of box space, so, you know. Anyways, I guess that's my thoughts on Cotton and maybe whether or not you should trade for her. Again, it's kind of hard for me to think about all the different ways, different people who might be want to trade for Cotton or trade for anything. But let me know if you're going to trade for her if you want to. If you have a question about trading for her, I guess you can leave it as a comment and I can try to answer it if I can. Yeah. In other news, there's a ranking dungeon. Speaking of ways to obtain Rainbow Event Medals, we have a new ranking dungeon this week, and I believe there should be a Rainbow Event Medal as an award, as a reward for getting 15% or above. So that's another way you can snag yourself one. Not in time for this though, because we'll get the rewards next week. Yeah, and I'll probably be streaming this this evening, so on Twitch. So my Twitch link will be below in the description, as it always is. I stream on Twitch like about almost every day. So you can come check me out on there if you want more interaction with me. And yeah, I'll be doing the ranking. So that's it. See you guys in the next video. Goodbye.